Hey everybody, welcome to Freemotion Fridays. Today is going to be Kit and Caboodle Part 2. So let me go ahead and check our sound. If you're here and you can hear really well and the camera and the lighting looks okay, can you let me know? I'm going to just do and my sound as well. I see two of you. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. All right, let's see what we got. All right, I just want to be able to see the comments and everything. Okay. All right, well, I guess it's going to work. There we go. Okay, hi Sue, I can see your comments and now I can see everybody's comments. So, all right, well, let's bring it up. I think everybody may have seen this before. If you haven't seen the part 1 video, this is part 2. And this quilt was created using only the sampler set from Leonie West. And just as a reminder, I've got an 80 weight Deco Bob bobbin. So I'll pull that up real quick. This is what it looks like. It's very, very fine thread, very fine, 80 weight. And it's white, kind of a bluish cast white, but very, very thin and easy to use. Kind of has a cottonized feel right there, so it does drape really nicely. You know, it kind of seems wiry right there, right? You can see the memory on this thread. Look, right? Because it's wound on there. But it'll actually relax a little bit, and it does quilt up really nicely. It has a nice look. And then the top thread that I'm using is, it is silk thread. Let me pull that up too. So it's this kind of thread. It's kimono silk, but it is a very faint pink. So it's not white, but it looks like this. And you can see the difference when I pull this one out. See how this one is very relaxed, even from right off of the spool? So this silk thread, the drape on this is better. It's just really gentle. It's not wiry. It doesn't hold that memory as much. So I do really like this because of the top finish. Somebody mentioned that it was a little bit expensive, but remember that at 100 weight, however many yards are on this thing, I don't know how many, 1,090 yards, this is probably going to go so much faster. So much faster. I mean, you're just going to be able to use this for a lot longer because you're not going to be, there's a lot more wound on there, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that very clearly, but you know, for this many yards, a silk thread, you're going to get a lot more wraps on your bobbin. You're going to get a lot more thread for the weight. So it is going to go a lot further and you'll be able to use this for quite a long time. So I think it's worth it. You know, I'm not going to use it on every single project, but you know, I have some special ones that I feel like really benefit from that little bit of detail. So this is what we did last time. And we put this texture detail in here, and we'll probably do some more. You know, this is pretty open and I want to do something in here as well. But today I'm going to work on this corner right here. And I'm going to let you guys help me. You guys can make some decisions as well. So we're going to try to work on maybe these 3 pieces. So this section right here, I'm going to call this sort of the ice cream cone right here. I kind of like this little waffle thing. And I think an easy thing to fit in here that stretches really easy is an undulation. And what I would prefer to do on this is I would want to be filled on the outer sides, then open, and then filled. And I always recommend testing your plan. Put a little X and make sure that your plan works the way you think it is going to work. Because this is nice and even, but if these were not, then you might have 2 filled sections right next to each other, and I don't like that. I don't prefer that. So let's go ahead and we'll just work on that first. And then I want you to think about, do we want to put something in the circle or do we want to fill this space? So I'll let you guys give some input and think about what you might want to do. Okay? With this design, it will be easiest, we can start at the bottom and we're going to gradually make it a little bit wider as we get out to the widest part here. Then this would become our travel line right across the top. And then you could just flow right back down to the center and back out and across. And that makes this continuous. So that'll make it nice and easy to fill that pretty quickly. I have to tell you guys, I was totally disorganized this morning. Wait, most mornings. I don't have coffee yet. So I have to get going on that after we're done. Have to get some coffee. I was traveling this past week, and let's see if I got my bobbin up. Where is it? All right. Let's see if I can get it to sew. Maybe that we can pick it up that way. Oh, bobbin is low. That's why I won't pick it up. Let's see what we got. Today I'm using my white glider, and the reason I put this on is because my glider was dirty. That's the truth. You can see on there, you can actually see some of the lint right on there. I know, Nan, I love that Swedish coffee. It's so good. I just didn't have time to make it this morning. I got back from my trip, and I'm a little bit discombobulated, and the sewing room is really, really messy. So I'm just, let's sew. Everything will be all right once we start sewing. All right, lift this up, and you're just going to gently roll that under there. I do not want that thread stuck under there, so just pull that nice and easy because we don't want to cut the glider. So just gently pull this off so that he's not sticking. There we go. And I'll just trim that, get that out of the way. And then you can just put this back down. The reason I wanted to mention this white glider is this is the first glider that I had from Sew Steady and loved it, absolutely loved it. And then they came out with the grid glider, which is very good also. But this one, the reason I like it is if your quilt surface, if your glider is dirty, then this one will actually stay much better. He will actually stick even if he's a little bit linty. Bobbin is not insufficient. I just threaded it. Why is this machine so ornery this morning? It needs coffee too. Okay, I'm just trying to get that little bobbin tail up there. Oh, dear God. Why am we having so much trouble? Okay, here we go. I got it. So this one, if you're in somewhere where you don't have the opportunity to wipe or rinse this off, things like that, this one is going to stick pretty securely even when it's linty. The other benefit to this particular glider is if your surface is textured, like your table is textured, because some of the Janome tables are textured. Why can I not get this thread through there? I'm talking and trying to do that, and I can't do it, guys. And my brain can't do it. Okay, cut all these little loosey-gooseys. I have such long tails this morning, so let's tack this and let's go. We are going to sneak up right here, up this line just a little bit. This is super narrow. We need a little bit of fingertip motion right in there to get right in there. And it's worth kind of scooting up just a little bit until you can actually fit something in there. So this is just a gentle undulation. Key is make sure that you are moving. The needle needs to be going at a nice clip, regular pace. It's really hard to make those little roundy corners there if you are going so slowly because then you can't make it smooth. So I'm looking inside the foot, trying to make sure that I'm bringing the needle all the way to the edge because I don't want a gap there. I want it to be really close to the actual stitching. So it's not a rush. If you're feeling anxious, you're probably going too fast. Just let it sew. It needs time to do its job. Okay, so we're all the way on the outside. And you can already see we're starting to get some really good texture. You can see this is lifted and this is recessed. So we're just going to stitch right across. Our star codes for coffee. Flo, that's awesome. I love it. I don't know. They are for Starbucks, right? Okay, so let's just go ahead and I'm just going to follow that line, and I'm going to just stitch right next to it. Just come punch it down just a little bit more. And I can start from either side. I'm just going to flow right back in. So whatever I think is easy and convenient, I want to grab a little bit of this. Just give myself a little pinch grip right there so I have some more to hold on to. I feel like if I do that, I can make the whole sandwich come with me a little better. So nice. Can you tell? I had to stop, and so I couldn't think for a second. You guys ever feel like that? Like when you're sewing and then all of a sudden you're like, how did I get here? Wow, that piece sewed itself. Okay, so my hand is pretty close to that. That's a sign that I need to scoot it out just a little bit. You know, be safe, give yourself that room. You don't need to get too close to that. So get that needle moving again so I can move. If I'm going too slowly, the needle gets stuck and then I can't proceed very smoothly. So it's frustrating. So I'm liking it so far. It's looking good, right? These are a little tighter, so I got to try to work on that. I got to make sure that I'm keeping them about the same, because otherwise they're going to start looking odd. This is the section that we want to go in, so make sure that when you're orienting that you don't overshoot it. I kind of was going this way and then I realized that's not where I want to be. So here, you know, I'm sewing in a different orientation than I was with the other one. And that does make a difference because you have different movements, different muscles that you're using. So it's really good if you could practice doing it multiple directions. That means that when your quilt is under the needle, if you need to go a different direction, you still can, but you don't have to turn it. So I think it's worth practicing that skill as best you can. Trying to come all the way up to the stitch area on each side, really get it punched down. And then here I'll just kind of scoot over right to there and just creep right over to the other one. Trying to make this a little bit wavy. You can see my fingertips actually are doing the motion right there. So sometimes with fabric, if your fabric is dry, it really pays to put on some lotion. You know, some people use gloves, but I've talked to you guys before. I don't use gloves because I have some sensory nerve damage in my fingers on my right hand. And so if I put the gloves on, it's really hard for me to feel what's going on. But if you just put a little hand lotion right around there, rub it in. You don't want it on your quilt. But if it's dry where you are, fabric tends to suck moisture out of your hands. And if your hands are, you know, lotioned up, then I feel like that alone is just going to give you a little bit more. So just a little bit more to kind of hold on and feel that. Okay? Okay, let's see, which way was I going? It's starting to get real tiny, so just wiggle it right into there. Okay, well, I love it already, you guys. I can tell that it's giving me that great texture. You can see how this stands up right there. And if you want to, you could go ahead and go back over any of these lines. This thread is so fine that if you want to restitch, you absolutely could. You could even put in just some little tiny echoes. So something just simple, like if you wanted to use your straight edge, you can put that on. And what we'll do is just make this a tiny bit narrower than a quarter right there, and I'll just show you what will happen if we do it. So we're basically going to try to stitch right next to the existing stitch line right there. And what that does is it makes that line slightly wider. Okay, so we'll come back over and we'll do this other side again. See, lots of thread with this little guy. I can put a ton of it on there. Nobody will know. Okay, so we just did this line right here, right on the inside. I'll pull it up after we're done. And then let's do the same thing on this side. We're just going to come right on the inside of it. And these are the open spaces, so we want to be on the inside of the open spaces, right inside the stitch line for the open areas. Okay? And then I'll turn it, and you'll be able to see maybe a little bit of difference between this one and the other ones. So this is the one that we just did, and just that little bit of stitching kind of creates a little roundness, a little tension in there, and then that doesn't look quite as flat as these. So let's see if we can you guys see the difference at all, or am I just dreaming? Let's do the other ones. I'll do one more. I'll do this little middle guy because he's so tiny. We kind of got to get up into that area because it's real tight right there. Once the needle is in place, then I can get going. So I'm right on the inside of the stitching. And here I'll just scoot right over. Little free stitching, never hurt anybody. And just for your sake, I'll flip it. I would just go backwards. You know, if I was on my own, I wouldn't bother. But you can see right there is that additional stitching, and by putting a little extra line right in here, we're going to increase the tension on that fabric and really create that little bit of bow right there, so he'll stand out. And then what I'll do is let's tack this, and I'm going to leave that last one so that you can see that. I'll go back and I'll do that one later. But that way you guys can really see the difference between those areas. And some people may say, oh, that's not worth it to me. And I know that. That's okay. You guys make your own choices. Some people don't want to put an extra thread in there, or they don't feel like the detail is worth that, but I think it is. Right? You see how this one kind of looks a little flat and this one looks a little rounded because it's pushing that fabric and creating more tension. So these two, you can see right on the inside, they have that little bit of extra stitch, and this one doesn't. And I do think that makes a difference there. And you can see there's my, I was fine over here. I don't know. This one I was like, okay, I'm going to do it really tight. But you know, I would not rip this out. This is going to be fine when you have thousands and thousands of stitches. Nobody's going to say, oh, that one's tighter. I'm like, yeah, I made it that way. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead. We'll move on. On this one, what I want to do when I come back is I'm actually going to echo this whole area around here, and I'm going to put a micro fill in there. These are all straight lines right there. So those are pretty easy to do just with regular ruler work right there. It's a straight line. You'll be able to go right in there. We're just going to put the 1/4 inch echo. So use my foot right here. I'm touching basically right there. The ruler here will be the guide. So let's just go ahead and get that bobbin thread pulled up, and then we'll just sew this really fast because this little tiny area, it is so micro, you'd be shocked at how quickly it's going to stitch up. It's really tiny, and we're just going to make little, even crisscrossy stuff. It doesn't matter if you cross over. This is such a small area, but what I do want to do is I want to define the space before I start. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to sew 3 times. Oh, darn it. I went too far. Oh, darn it. I want to stop when the foot is touching the line. I was a little bit overzealous there. We'll just rip that out. It's fine. Or quilt over it. It won't matter. So 3 times. Okay. And then we'll come up and let's make the little straight line right there. We need to be right down the middle so we know where to stop with this little guy. Let's see. Where's my chalk? My marker. Right there. We'll come straight down from that one right there and from that one. So these are just telling us where we're going to pivot as we sew. And typically I do this kind of echo work when I already have the ruler, in place, but I guess I didn't. So touch the line, triple it up, and back to the top. We really want that thread because it's so fine. We want a very clear visual marker of what that is doing in that area. So touch it with the foot, triple it up. Okay, and then same thing right here. This thread can take it. It can take triple. It's not going to look bad. It's going to look like you can see it, which is nice. You don't want to do all this work for no reason, right? You want to see it. So triple. Okay, so those lines are really great. They help us really make sure we know where to stop so we can pivot. When I do the last line right here, I'll turn it a little bit and you can see maybe just what the single looks like. Okay, so I'm going to turn it. I'll let you see the single. Okay, so you can see right there. Let's see if we can get in just a little tighter. Right, it's barely there. You hardly can see it at all. It's right there. So let's double it. Back up. We'll get back exactly on the same line. Okay, back to the top. You can start to see maybe a little bit more. There's just a little bit more shadow on there now. And let's do it one more time. And now I can really see the thread. I can actually see the color of it and the texture of it as well. So it's okay with this thread. You should not be afraid of that. You can absolutely get a lot of value, and I'll just close this all the way to the end. That's going to put me right where I need to be at the end, so we can do this little micro quilting right around this area. Okay. All right, so let me show you. We'll go turn it. See right here? This is going to help this whole shape really, really stand out. It's going to be awesome. Okay, now we'll get it in front. So don't care if you're crossing over, okay? Nobody's going to see it. It's such a small area. Just wiggle around. Go back this way. Keep your needle moving pretty quickly. Okay? And don't worry about it if your threads cross over, right? This is not, you know, Ghostbusters. This is quilting. It's okay. Crossing the streams is fine. Okay? So I'm going to adjust my hand position a little. I kind of feel that the quilt is pulling a little bit, so I'm going to get it a little relaxed. That way it can come with me. So I'm not really using much of my shoulders. I'm really using my fingertips for these small areas. And if I want to, if I need to just lean in a little bit more, I'm just going to bring my body a little bit forward. I'm just going to lean in a little bit. And look at what we're getting already. You can start to see we're really getting that nice texture compared to this openness. So you're going to get a difference between this, and it's just going to highlight that interior ruler work, make that really show. And I am working hard to stay inside my pink lines, but if I need to travel on them, I'm not worried about that because it's not going to show. It's going to be fine. So you can use your thumb right there, just pulling a little tiny bit. And I maybe will travel a little bit out on one side like this. I'll show you. We'll go a little bit further out on this side to kind of make it a little bit more irregular, and then come back. And then if I need to, I can travel on the ditch, come out a little bit this way, and then fill to the corner so I can travel all the way around that corner. So again, I want to come right up to the stitch line as much as possible. I don't really want to have a gap right where the stitch line is, because our goal is to punch all of this down, so we really need to be cognizant of getting the stitching really close to the lines. I think that having these little type of threads also makes it a little bit freeing for you, because then you can just keep sewing. You know, it's good practice for that kind of free motion movement with these threads because they're less threatening. They don't have such a strong visual impact unless you really double them up or triple them up. So it's a little bit freeing if you make a mistake. You don't feel so like, oh, it's ruined. No, just sew some more over it. It'll be fine. So I'm using up some good amount of bobbin thread here, and that's pretty much why I'm not using the silk in the bottom also. So the back of this quilt will not have the relief and the color that the front will. The back is going to be just basically by itself. So this is what we're getting so far. What do you think? I love it. So pretty. So we're pretty much right at the end there. So let's go ahead and we'll just close it out, make sure we got everybody. And I'm going to leave these spaces right here open just because, I mean, I could fill it in, but I've got the lines right there. So that would kind of negate this value right here. So I'm going to leave this open. This is actually a separation between these two designs. So I'll kind of come out just a little bit and I'll show you where we're going to go next. So I don't feel the need to cut my thread, but I could. But you know, if I want to, I could just travel right here. A little bit faster. I really think that I can do a much straighter line if I go a little faster when I'm pulling. So, you know, for example, if I want to come right down this line so I could start getting into this area and I want to travel down this line, I'm just going to push or pull. But if I go slowly, the needle is going to lock me up. So give yourself some speed in order to do it. Okay, this is audience participation time. I want to know if you want me to do a little feather in here, and I will kind of leave this open, and then we'll do something here, and that was my thinking. Does that sound like a good idea? Or would you rather do it with this open and this punch down? This is more space, but this is kind of choppy, whereas I think I could make something that looks more like a motif here, whereas this would, you know, leave the circle open, but then what do you do with an open circle, right? I think the circle would be better if we feathered it or something. Oh, Linda, you're after my own heart. She's like, yeah, put a feather in there. That's exactly my thought. So I think that feathers in a circle are a big challenge. I will not lie. I think that's probably one of the hardest feathers to do. And the way you practice that, let me show you. I'm just going to flip this. Oh, it's got some pretties for you. Let's see. I'll flip it down. It's too big. I can't put it in there. Let's scoot out so we can get a little more. Look how fun, right? Get your notebook out. We've got to practice. So I did a bunch of feathers in a circle. I've been practicing this because I want to do this type of thing on a project that I'm working on. But I started with bunch of circles like that. So this one's really pretty. I like this one. This is somewhere where I'm going crazy with feathers. But this is kind of how you could think of it, right? Each one of these right here is a little circle. So I'm going to just grab my little marking tool here. Where did I put it? Here it is. I like these Crayola twistable crayons because they have some friction against paper. So what that means is that I have to really push a little more to get the design that I want. So I'm getting a lot of kinesthetic input from this as opposed to a ballpoint pen that just goes wee, right? Goes everywhere. Think about these as circles at the top, okay? So this is kind of like the training concept here a little bit. Each of these are kind of like little circles. This one's kind of a wonky circle right there. But when I'm coming up in the circle, I want to think about, I want, you know, a little circle right there, for example. So I'm going to come up, and then this next one, he needs to have that circle look. There's the little circle right there. So in your mind, as you're traveling around this, and he's got to come over the top a little bit, there's your circle, right? Think about this as if you were going to tuck it in for a circle, and then come out, and then here's the next one, okay? And then you're going to travel around a little bit. There's the circle there, and then this is the last one, and then this one is just going to kind of come around and close that. So remember that these would be open, but the visual impact of it, the way to think about it and maybe make some little visual training aids is that those are little circles in there that you're coming up around. And those help me shape the circle, the top of the circle, the way that I want. Okay, so since we're gonna do that, I'm gonna put just a few straight lines in here. And the way I'm gonna do it, I'm not gonna mark it, but I'm gonna basically do a straight and then split it. And if we want to get back to the center to do it, because that's the easiest, then this thread is our friend, and it lets us do that. So just subdivide it like that, and back to the center. Now, if I want more subdivisions, I can have more, right? I've got to go all the way around, and this is going to be lightly quilted right there. So let's come up, I think, just a little bit so you can see a little bit better. Lightly quilted around that little wheel, and then I want something more here, maybe wishbone or something like that. So we'll put something a little bit more dense in that area. So go this way. Okay, a little speed now. Because if we're leaving that other part open and we're feathering the circle, then we need this part to be punched a little bit. Otherwise, you're not going to have a nice transition of compression. And okay, so now we're in the line. Just scoot down. Okay, I'll come all the way down, or I can do this first. It wouldn't matter. There's your wishbone. So I'm looking to bring my little curvature just before I hit the stitch line. And then I'm right there. Come over to here, right at the tip, split it in the middle, and come back right on the same line, split it again, right on the same line, and split it one more time. Those are visual estimates. I'm not worried if they're perfect. Everything's fine. Okay? Okay. I'll just let you see what we're doing here. Turn it a little bit. So now, right from this corner, when I do my wishbone, I'm going to come out for the first loop. Okay? And that kind of gets you going. You got to reach away from where you left off so that you can make the loop, because you have to backtrack. So there's my loop right into the corner. Okay. Now, straight line. I can't see it. Darn it. I'll turn it this way because you want to see it too. I love it. It's looking cute though. We're getting there. Okay, so just visual estimate, center, split it right in the middle. Back down, split that. No markings required. We're just being relaxed about it. It's not a big deal. Once you're at the corner, I can travel and do this last corner, okay? So again, if I'm traveling here, I need a little bit of speed so I can go nice and smooth. And the quilt is right here kind of up in my lap. If it's hanging down, it's going to drag. So get it up here, put a pillow in your lap if you need to, if it's big enough. And that way, the pillow can hold it up for you. So reach out a little bit, reach for your wishbone, loop, and then reach out. Loop, and then reach out. All right, let's see, we got to get to the corner. We'll do this last one, and then we'll do that feather. So if I orient this right like this, where I know that sort of the same amount of space is right there, and I don't want to turn the quilt, I can just look inside the foot, pull straight towards me, and push back, and then split it. I don't care if it's even. I'd like it to be even, but if it isn't, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay? So right where I'm at now, there's not really a good way to get to the center unless I jump, right? So let's tack it, and then we'll just kind of get in there. One thing I do like to do with my own feathers is I kind of want to know where I'm going. I feel like I always need a little bit of help. So let's do a little curly cue there. And he's going to kind of come back, and then the next one will come off of that. So as I reach back around, I want to get this nice little V right there, like a V. So then this next one, he's going to either have to travel here and kind of come over the top a little bit. So again, this is where that circle is right there. So we want to make this as round and then touch. And then here, again, round and come around. And then this one needs to come over the top and into that little space. And then here, I can get this one around. He's got to reach way back there. If you have a little gap right there like I do, then just put a little baby in there right there. It'll work out. It'll all be fine. All right, so let's tack this and we'll jump over to there and we'll get started. Right to the circle, that's all we need. And then we can actually stitch around the circle if we want to or not. So there's my little piece right there. Stretch it around and try to make it smooth. That's really the key of what we want to do. So put a little bit more in there. And if I can't get where I want to from there, I'll just track over to there. Come around this outside, just slowly trying to track right on it as best you can. Touch. And we'll come out nice and smooth right there, right into the circle. And then travel around the circle. And this one is already in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double stitch this, make sure that this whole part of the circle has some extra stitching around it. And I'm aiming for the inside, right? We'll let the outer color be the border. And we'll just make sure that this is defined and filled in right there. Okay, a little tacking right there. And we're done. Let's cut these threads. And we'll pull that whole thing out and we'll flip it over too. I think that way on the back you'll be able to really see all of the texture because it's just white on the back. Cut that top thread right there. And let's see if we have any other threads hanging out. Nope, looks like we got them all. And then I would probably have at least one on the back. So let's see. Do I hope it looks good? Yes, I do. Looks good to me. I have a little bit of my blue thread from that top sticking out. So I might pick a little bit of that thread out there. But I don't know. I don't want to ruin any stitching that's already on there. So we'll see. There. Can you see it? So this guy right here, I don't know, I might come in and kind of clean him up and go in and out a little bit to give this one a little bit more shape and kind of close that. A little extra stitching there won't do any harm. You know, you'll never see it, but I can dip it. Let me draw in what I'm saying so you can see. I feel like his closure is not round enough on the inside, so I could go in and do like this and then tighten this visual up so that this has a nice smooth line right there, and that will fix that shape a little bit. It'll clean that up, just starting with the needle here and just putting that little curve in there, and that'll clean up that little area. Okay, and then we have low density quilting here and medium here, and then this is open. And we could also, you know, put like another echo, or we could echo this a little bit if we wanted to, but I think it's fine. I'm not too worried about putting a little bit more in there. I think we have enough nice visuals going on. All right, so let's see. We're going to scoot this over. So I feel like I need to do one more, otherwise we're going to have trouble getting through this quilt. So do you mind if I do one more? Are you guys still up for it, or do you need to go? All right, I think we will. I think we'll do these fun clamshells. I really, really love clamshells. They're so classic, and there's so many great ways to fill them. So I think what we'll do is we'll just play with that. So what I did with this one is, this is 8 inches, so this is centered. So these are cut off, of course, you see that. So what we'll do is, let's just go ahead and we'll start in the middle, and then we'll do something, we'll work this way and come around, and then we'll come back over here and go that way. This one is the center and it is also the bottom. So it's the only one on the center that's flat. The other ones above it are not going to be flat on the bottom. That to me is a fun opportunity to use that bottom seam allowance. So let's go ahead. We're just going to put like some kind of little curl in there. And we'll come back. And then that's going to be the anchor for the design. So I'm going to turn it this way. I'm going to start building some little curls out from there. And I'm going to make them like ribbons that'll go over the top. Okay, so the ribbon looks like this. I'll do it out here in this space. As you curl, you're going to come in and then you're going to come over the top like that. That's going to create this little ribbon look in there. So the tighter we bring it in, the deeper the ribbon will be. Okay, so you can play with that. And then right now, when I do the next one, this is how much space that this ribbon took approximately. So I know that when I curl out, I need about that same distance. So if you wanted to mark these and put little wedges, they could be a little guide. So I'm going to tuck this in, come over the top, and back to that center curl. And if I need to travel up the curl a little bit, then I will. So the inner one needs to be space for the ribbon to come out. So if I do this top one, he can come to the seam line right here, but remember we're going to come back over it. So we do want a little bit of space. So now I'm going to travel out just a little bit so I'm on that center curl. And again, this is the next wedge. Tuck it in and over the top and travel, and I can get one more. Tuck it in and over the top, and we'll put one more. Tuck it in and come over the top and just end right there. Okay, now let's come on over to this one. Okay, and let's fill this one, and then we can fill this one and we'll go backwards that way. Okay, on these ones that are a little bit taller, I like to try to put something you can go up through the center and fill, and then we can fill on the sides. So let's just kind of do some like an hourglass right here. We'll just kind of wiggle out, and we'll just put another wiggle, and we'll end at the top. Now, with this, what I want to do is I want to mirror it on the other side, right? So this side will come wide, and then narrow, and then wide again. And then we'll just echo these lines because we can, if I can see them. I can't find it. Where is it? I don't want to close the echo too much because I want that space to show. So I'll do one more. Okay, and then we'll fill some of this, and we're going to put some just like little echoes in here. I'll show you. We'll come down here, and we're just going to put like a little teardrop on the bottom, and then just like this. And you can use that shape on the inside as you travel. Travel out a little bit when you need to make a bigger one. Come out on it a little bit, and there you go. And here we'll come back up to the top because we didn't echo this side, and we're going to echo it twice. So touch, and then echo it again. Narrow echoes right here. Okay. And then we could just echo it all the way down, but I think sometimes when we do that, it's a little bit too dense. So let's put a little gap in. We'll use the foot as a spacer. And then we'll echo it again with the foot as a spacer. Now I can get this other side when I go around. I'm not going to travel all the way over there. I need to finish these right here. So let's just go ahead and we'll do some fun stuff here. Let's make these kind of longish feathers from this point. We'll come out all the way to this point, and we'll make them super long and kind of skinny. Like really stretch them out and make them narrow. And here I'll just come up and I'll do the last one just because that way I can just stitch down one time. Okay, so that one looks pretty cute. I'm loving it. Can you guys see it? I'll come in a little bit more so you can see it. Right? And then let's see what we should do on this one. Let's just put some like some of those mussels where you have kind of like a teardrop shape. And then we'll put another one in there like that, right next to it. Go a little faster. And another one. And then here I'm just going to echo over the top just to fill that in. And then just pull all the way along right there. It's a nice fine thread. It'll get you all the way over there. No trouble. Okay, so let's see. I'm just going to put some really big curls in this. So we'll do a swirly, tuck it in, and we'll come over the top. And we'll go right into another one. Okay, and here, travel. I'm going to dip to complete the look. We'll come over the top. And here we'll put a little one. And bump. And finish. So that's just got some nice fun curls right in there. This one, he is also pretty skinny, so I'm thinking I might try to do the same feather that I did with this other one. We're upside down with that feather now, so we've got to do it a different direction. Okay, so nice and skinny, stretch them all the way back. This will kind of give it a little bookend look with the little skinny feathers there on the outside. And then right now, it's easiest for me to get to this one. Let me scoot this up just a little bit. Just by scooting right along this stitch line. This is the closest. So I'll just go like this. Okay. So let's put some little, let me think for a second. Let's turn it this way. I'm going to put some little scallops on this part right here. So bump, 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 bump. And then I'll travel just a little bit down and come back up so that I have the same mirrored bump on this side. Okay, and then let me show you what it looks like. And now we can start offsetting these little scallops, okay? So now we're gonna go half and go over to the next one in the middle, and we'll just make this one cut across to the middle and next. So then I'm gonna come up just a little bit. So now it's starting to get these like little stacked clamshells. So this one, I want to go right across the middle here. This is the two of them. So bump right to the middle, right to the middle, right to the middle. And it's okay if they're uneven. I'm not worried about it. It's gonna all work out. They're gonna kind of look like they flowed down into there a little bit. So let's just fill it in. So I'm gonna come up just a little bit so I can get the half. So half. And we'll make this one kind of cross over so we can start joining those two sides. Okay, now come up just a slight bit for this one. To the middle, to the middle, to the middle, to the middle. Okay, and we'll just tack it off right there. I think that's the last one, right? Oh, we forgot the echo on that side. Let's go over there. Before we cut anything, So on this one, we said we would do 1 foot space. So we'll use the foot as the guide. And then we'll do the little echoes. And then we'll tie it off. So because these have a lot of fill, this echo on the top is going to stay open, and then I'm actually going to do some fill in this one later. I don't know where the boundary is for that right now, so I'm going to not do that one at this point until I mark in that outer boundary. And I think we're ready to pause for the day. I'm going to flip it over. Let's see. We'll come out just a little bit so you can see it. So we'll put the texture on there. Okay. So we kind of got little bookendies right there for all that's going on in there. And then I'll flip it over. It looks fun. So that's the white. That's on the back side. So you can see they kind of dip down a little bit and they kind of push that way and then they kind of go that way. So a little bit crazy, but you know, we don't have to have anything perfect. We just have to have fun. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you liked it. I hope you will try it. And with that clamshell, you can do that. Let me show you one last piece with that whole clamshell thing that we were just talking about. If this is my paper, right, and I'm just drawing, one of the things that you can do is you can start in the foreground with a clamshell that is kind of a little bit big. And then, you know, you're going to offset it, of course. Right? But you can start making them a little bit smaller, and they don't have to go all the way across. As we make them a little smaller, as they don't necessarily line up, and we shorten them a little bit, what you're doing is you're kind of creating, this is foreground and this is background, as if this direction is moving away from you, because things look a little smaller when they move away from you. And you can even like off stagger them a little bit like that. So if you want to do that where they don't touch perfectly in the center, this is kind of creating it as if it were going backwards, having the biggest ones in the front here and then progressively having some little ones. And you can travel over the existing ones to put these little baby ones in there, right? To create that illusion of little tiny ones back there. Travel across the top of the one that's already there. And that creates that perspective type of a look, right? So that's something fun with clamshells that you can do that. And you can basically do that with any type of fill, like those mussels. You can put big mussels in the front and then smaller ones going back away from you. Also with circles, it works really well. So that's something fun to play with just to create the illusion of depth in the quilt as well. Okay, you guys, well, thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday. We are going to be taking Christmas and New Year's off. Honey is tired, and I'm tired. We need a rest. We're going to have family, and we're going to be doing a lot of cooking. So I think we're just going to kind of close down the sewing shop for the holidays. So we'll see you this Sunday, and then we'll be taking Christmas and New Year's off, both Friday and Sunday. Okay? Have a wonderful day. Happy holidays to all of you. I hope you're well, and happy quilting. Bye-bye, you guys.